All right, Pouring Nation, today I'm going to review the Creative Inspirations acrylic paint, specifically for use in acrylic paint pouring. Now, Creative Inspirations is made by a company called Creative Mark, which is a Chinese art supply company. And they generally sell this paint at Jerry's Artorama online, Walmart, Amazon. I have not found it in a local store. If you can purchase this in a local store, please let me know in the comments below. Now, this paint's a student level acrylic, which means it's not the highest quality of paint, but with acrylic paint pouring, I don't think wasting your money on the best quality of paint is necessarily the best option. So that is perfectly fine for what we're doing with this art form. One of the prominent acrylic pour artists that uses this paint quite a bit is Molly's Artistry. And if you know Molly, she creates amazing artwork. So I know that this paint is great for acrylic paint pouring. We're going to go into some details about lightfastness, pigments used, how well it mixes, how well it dilutes in different mediums, so you can get an idea if this is the type of paint you want to use for your acrylic paint pouring. First thing we want to get into is pricing. Now, I could only find this online, so if you have found it in your local store, please let us know in the comments below, and let us know what the price is where you're at. The pricing is different based on metallic or regular paint. I found that you can get it in 1.5 liter, which is about 61 ounces. And for metallic paints, it's right around 49 cents per ounce as of December 2021 when this video was done. For regular color paints, it's about 31 cents per ounce for that 61 ounce container. Now, if you go to the mid-size container, which is going to be about 17 ounces, these are the nice squeeze bottles that have the cap that you can recap and just squeeze out of the top rather than just having a screw on top. And these bottles for metallic paints is about 58 cents per ounce. For the regular paints, it's about 41 cents per ounce. And then you can buy them in regular 4-ounce tubes, which came out to be about 87 cents per ounce for both metallic and regular colors. Although not all the metallics were I could find in the smaller amounts. Now, pricing wise, this is actually a spectacular price. Price per ounce for most of the acrylic paints, the Amsterdams, the Liquitex, and things like that are going to be more like $1 per ounce, even in bulk. So being able to get that much paint for 49 cents, 31 cents per ounce is pretty amazing. So in that regard, I'll give it a big thumbs up. So the first thing I want to show is each one of these paints actually have the pigment name right on them. So you can actually look up what pigment that is, and for the sake of layering paints, you can decide how thick or thin that paint will be, so hopefully you can get some movement and maybe some cellular action from that. The one thing that they don't have is most higher quality paints will have a lightfastness and a transparency on the back, and these don't have that, which I'm going to assume means that they are probably lightfastness 3, 4, or 5 on the ASTM scale. I'll link to that scale in the description below, but essentially that just means that in direct sunlight, the colors are probably going to last months. In regular normal display conditions, like on your wall in your house where it's not getting direct sunlight, for a paint that has a lightfastness of 3, most people say it's going to last 15 to 50 years. So it's still going to last a long time. And if you put a good varnish on top, it's going to last even longer. So honestly, me personally, I wouldn't worry about that. I think this is going to last potentially multiple generations. For the transparency, because it doesn't tell you what it is, what you can do is just print out a sheet of paper that has black lines or draw black lines with permanent marker on it, and take a little bit of your paint over the black line, and then see how much the black line shows through once it's dry. The more it shows, the more transparent it is. The less it shows, or it doesn't show at all, that means it's very opaque. So not having that isn't a deal breaker because it's so easy to test for these paints. So the next thing I wanted to do is just try to mix a few of the paints just to see how well they mix. And we're going to mix I didn't mean the orange to be here. We're going to mix an orange with yellow and red, and we're going to mix a purple with crimson and phthalo blue. So let's see how that goes. This is the key here. And I do like the buttery consistency of this. See how it's standing on top of each other? That's actually really nice. And some other student level acrylics are not that thick, and therefore you can't thin them down as much. But this is actually mixing really well. I'm getting nice color. It's still pretty vibrant. That paint, or that red, which I would expect has quite a bit of tinting strength, so that's why this looks more red than orange. Blue, and again, blue has a ton of tinting strength, so we're just going to put a little blue and a lot of red. And same thing. Nice buttery consistency. A nice purple color there. So I don't get really dark, muddy colors, which is nice. Just to test, we're going to add a little bit of white here just to lighten it up. So if I'm mixing these colors in a cup, I just want to know that I'm going to get nice vibrant colors. In this case, I'm giving this a thumbs up. These look great. They feel great too. It's nice and thick. So definitely a thumbs up there. All right, so the next test that I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it with, this is 5 grams of the Purple Lake with 10 grams of Liquitex pouring medium. So it's 2-to-1 pouring medium to paint. This is same thing, 10 grams to 5 grams, and this is glue. This is the same thing, and it is Floetrol. And this is the same, this is 5 grams of paint, but this is 50 grams of Floetrol. So I want to see how well the colors hold up. So how much pigment load is in when you go 10-to-1 paint to pouring medium. So let's just take a look at this. So this is the Liquitex first. And that mixed great, and I didn't lose very much of the color. So see how my purple still looks pretty vibrant? So it works well with Liquitex. Now let's check the glue. Same thing with glue, it seemed to mix quite well. Still have a nice color here at a 2-to-1 ratio, and it's still pretty thick. Next, Floetrol. Well, it's batting 1,000 right now. Still good color, nice and thick, and mixed well. I didn't have any funky mixing there. And when I look at these three together, the Floetrol looks a little bit lighter than the other two, but it's not very distinct. So now let's do 10-to-1 pouring medium to paint ratio. Now this will take a little while longer to mix, so I'll speed this up. So now look at those two colors together. 10-to-1, you really lose a lot of that color and it becomes a lot lighter. And ultimately will be a lot more transparent. So the pigmentation isn't really nice, but it's not bad. I mean, I would say Arteza is the best paint that I've ever done 10-to-1 ratio, and this doesn't look bad at all. So I would give this a thumbs up for how well it mixes, and a thumb sideways for its pigmentation. It's not bad. So I did this pour initially, but I don't think it gave the colors a fair shake. It wasn't varied enough, and I put too much white, and I don't want to give it a negative review for how the white turned out with a bad pour. So we're going to do another pour, and we're just going to use some of the straight colors. From this kit, we have permanent red, cadmium orange, hue. Hue just means that it's not actual cadmium. And then cadmium yellow hue and white, titanium white. So we'll see how this one goes. So a few quick comments about how this looks. I really don't like how the white does this. Some of the inferior whites out there are prone to have this, I don't want to call it ghosting because I like ghosting, but it's like splotch work colors. And so I don't like the white. The other colors I think are great. I mean, I get some nice definition in here. The red looks nice. It's nice and vibrant. Orange is always rough, so I'm not too worried about that. Plus, that's where there was a ton of orange there. So color-wise, I mean, it's a student level acrylic, so I'd give it a in between a thumbs up and a sideways. But overall, for the price, man, you really can't go wrong. And as I mentioned before, Molly's Artistry uses these colors quite a bit, and she has some fantastic pours. So there are definitely some very good things going on for this paint type. So creative inspiration paint, for how the paint mixes, big thumbs up. For how the paint mixes with mediums, also big thumbs up. The pigment load, it's just average. It's not the greatest, it's not the worst. Cost, big thumbs up. Much cheaper than most other pouring paints that I've used. Lightfastness, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. One, because it doesn't tell me, so I don't know for sure. And two, it's a student level acrylic, so I know it's going to be in the Lightfastness 3 or 4 range, which means it's not going to hold up in direct sunlight for a long period of time. We're not talking about centuries here, we're talking about decades that this is going to last. Color selection, 50 colors, that's pretty nice. I wish it had some more metallic colors, but overall I'm going to give it a thumbs up. And then availability in the US, online, you can find it pretty much anywhere. So I'm going to give that a thumbs up. So overall, this is a great paint to use, and I highly recommend it. Now, if you want to know the results of all of my comparisons, I will link that video once it's complete here.